And welcome to Skeptic Haven. I am Brycearonee. Tonight I will be joined by my co-host Ethan Micheal, your friendly neighborhood atheist. And tonight we're talking about ghosts and spirits and hauntings and souls, phantoms, specters, and whatever else you want to call it.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
Oh.
I don't have audio, do you?
I don't have audio either, just to let you know.
Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you, unfortunately.
We are hearing you. Can you hear me now, Ethan?
Yes.
Okay, we're hearing you. We're not hearing Bryce at all. I don't know what happened with Bryce, but Bryce is not coming through. We're going to try and get that fixed. And I apologize for the situation, but we will get right on it. Ethan, if you want to just talk about things that are going on for you right now
Sure.
in your channel.
So regarding my channel, I started doing interviews again a little while back, but unfortunately, I don't have anyone else lined up currently because I'm really picky. So it's been difficult.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, sometimes health issues stop me from getting
Yes.
stuff done too. Let me see. We're still working on Bryce's sound, but we're not hearing audio with him. There he is.
You guys hear me?
We do now. I'm out of here. So you guys
Okay.
take it over.
It's delayed.
Sorry about that. So sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened there. Can you guys hear me okay?
There's about a 3 to 5 second delay in your audio.
There's about a 3 to 5 second delay.
And now I can't hear anything. Sorry, folks. Once we resolve all technical issues, we will resume the show. So what do you guys think about ghosts? What's your opinion? What is a ghost? How would you define one? Do you believe? Do you not believe? Give us a call at, actually, you can't give us a call yet because they're working on resolving the issue.
I have a question for you, Ethan. I'm sure you're asked quite often, what's the best ghost story you've heard? I want to go the opposite route. What's the worst paranormal ghost story? I mean, the most obvious piece of garbage made up story.
like legit scary, or just the biggest like full of shit one?
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. It's one that from the moment you heard it, you could tell how contrived it was.
That's a good question. I don't know.
And for an example, to me, one of the most compelling I ever heard was the kid's fingerprints on the bumper by the railroad tracks.
What's that?
Oh, you haven't heard that? It was like a story about a bus going over railroad tracks. It gets stuck. It's got a bunch of kids on it. They all die. And so from now on, if you go park your car at these railroad tracks at night and you are parked on the actual tracks, you'll get pushed off the tracks and see. And if you put like something on the bumper, like talc or whatever, you'll see
Mhm.
fingerprints. Compelling, but I don't believe it. But
Interesting.
that was one of the better ones I ever heard. Oh, and he's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes, now we're good.
Don't know what happened there. That was the glitch of all glitches. So I apologize about that. I had to go into the regular, I had to just come out and start all over again. So sorry about that. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. But Ethan, it's good to see you again.
You too, man. It's always a pleasure working with you.
I know that you have ghost stories, or you think you have ghost stories anyway, because we've talked about that kind of before.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I have
Anymore.
yes, anymore. I
Okay.
used to. Like this one time we thought the Ouija board became possessed, and then we went to put it on the grill and light it on fire, and the match like flew off the grill and wouldn't burn. So we were just like, it was amazing. So
Do you mind if I ask how old you were when that experience happened?
Maybe 10.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, kids believe in ghosts. Like kids believe in all kinds of things. So you've not had an adult experience with ghosts, or have you?
Have I had what?
Have you had an adult experience with ghosts?
An adult experience?
Yeah, being when you were growing up.
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah,
but
neither
I
have I.
believed everyone's ghost stories.
Okay. Until how long ago?
Probably 18, 19 is when I started thinking everything was full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. Not too bad. I don't know that I ever really believed in ghosts. I don't think that
Really?
I don't think so, because growing up as a Christian, the version of Christianity that I was taught was that when people die, they're just dead until the resurrection. So there's no ghosts. So anything that anyone that tells you that there's ghosts, it's either demonic or
Mm-hmm.
or not real. That's kind of how I was raised to believe. So that led me to believe that there was no ghost. I accepted everything uncritically back then. So
Yeah, same.
So
It's amazing how much we learn.
it is. But after listening to other people's stories and wondering about what ghosts could be, that gets you to thinking about like life after death.
So, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, there could be 4G. What is it? 4G. 4G. Crap. What is it?
Don't tell me Neil deGrasse Tyson believes in ghosts. Does he actually?
Who actually?
Does Neil deGrasse Tyson believe in ghosts?
No, not at all. He was just, this is what he was saying, that they could be fourth dimensional realities, and they can actually move stuff into our universe and move stuff out, and we can't observe them.
Was he being facetious, or was he like saying that he believes that, or was he just offering that as a possibility?
Just offering it as a possibility.
Yeah, that seems about right. It's because that's equally valid as, ghosts. There's no way to know. There would be no way to know the difference. But I am curious about people who do believe in ghosts. Where, like, I'm assuming that when people say that they see ghosts and they have encounters with them, that it's, a dead person, somebody who was once alive and is not alive anymore. So I have a lot of questions about, why they're here. Do they go somewhere else after being a ghost? Like, what do you know about that? Like, what have you heard about that? What's the reason why they would be ghosts and not in heaven or hell or purgatory or just not existing?
Well, being a ghost is purgatory.
Oh, okay. That never occurred to me. So, so is it like a trial or something?
What do you mean is what a trial?
Like, does everyone become a ghost when they die? According to like the people who believe in them?
I think most people tend to believe in that, yes.
Okay. That's weird. So what's the purpose of it? Because, like, are you just stuck being a ghost, or do you have to do something?
I have no idea.
What would you theorize if you could get into the heads of a believer? Go back to your 10-year-old self.
Okay.
And, just try to imagine, like, what would be the purpose of being a ghost? That's probably a question a 10-year-old wouldn't ask. That's more of like a critical thinking deconstruction type question. But for me, like, that's a question I would ask. Like, what are they doing here?
Yeah, that would be a good question to ask.
Why
Hopefully we get some ghost callers.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes my favorite to deal with.
Yeah, guys, definitely call. I know some of you watching are ghost believers, or at least you have been. Maybe you're not currently, but if you've ever like believed in ghosts, or that like a house was haunted or a hotel was haunted or something like that, call in and share your story, because I have questions about that. 984-400-5656. We're hopefully we can get some pretty good haunting stories, but if not, it's just going to be the two of us rambling on and theorizing about what ghosts are. So here's another question for you.
And you don't believe in ghosts, right?
Me, no, I'm a total. I mean, I was about to say I'm a total skeptic. That makes it sound like I'm playing up the channel, but no, I've never really believed in ghosts.
Okay.
I mean, I've never. It could be because I've never had my own personal experience with something I thought was haunted or anything. So maybe if I like had something like that as a child or as an adult, I might be a believer. But yeah, no. No, I don't believe in life after death, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
I used to, but when I did, like I said, it wasn't what people refer to as like being like. I never thought that after I died I would come back as a ghost.
Right.
And I never thought that
You're lucky. You were a good critical thinker at a younger age.
Well, I mean, I think that, like I said, that has more to do with that's just not what I was taught. I was taught that the Bible says that when you're dead until the resurrection. So that's what I accepted uncritically, and so that doesn't leave room for ghosts.
Right.
Like, the two things both can't be true. If I was raised as like one of the Christians that believe in that people go to purgatory or whatever, then maybe I would believe in ghosts. But demons is something that I kind of believed in, because I was taught that that was real and that's biblical and everything, and angels too, but not ghosts. But I know other people that total ghost believers. Not good. I'm not gonna say totally.
I still love like watching ghost movies. Like people
Oh yeah.
think like if you hate it, you'll hate the movie too, and that's just it's not true.
No, I love the movie Ghost with
Yeah, it's
Patrick
awesome. Patrick Swayze's a killer.
Yeah, I remember going to the movies to see that when I was a kid, and it was cool. It was interesting. Parts of it were scary. But yeah, no, I can still get enjoyment from ghost like stories or to me it's like entertainment.
It is.
And,
It's exciting.
yeah, or scary if it's intended, if it's like a horror movie or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
Poltergeist, that was another one that was. Like,
Oh my god, that movie was so scary.
Yeah, that movie was scary. You know what that movie is rated?
R.
No, it's rated PG.
No.
It is. It was rated PG because I think it came out in the years when there was no such thing as PG-13. And Steven Spielberg is a producer on the movie, and he fought to make it not R. And so the only other option was PG. But yeah, it's scary as hell. But
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that movie. Yeah, I can definitely enjoy like ghosts as entertainment. And when other people tell me that they believe in it, I haven't seen Amityville Horror actually.
I actually haven't either.
So
You're about to get blasted.
I know it's a classic. Maybe I should watch it, but I haven't seen that one. I have seen The Shining, and that one's kind of freaky.
Oh, did you see the sequel, Dr. Sleep?
I have. I actually saw it fairly recently.
It's a great movie.
It is, and this is probably blasphemy to say, or unpopular opinion, but I actually think it's a better movie than The Shining. It's not better in terms of its atmospheric, psychological horror type vibes. I mean, The Shining, classic, but just the story itself, I enjoyed more. It was a little bit more, like, more characters. There was a little bit more action. So.
Dude, all I'll say, and if you have a wheezy stomach, turn your headset off for just the next 20 seconds. Oh my God. It had something to do with The Shining, Dr. Sleep. What they did with those kids, or the kid.
No spoilers.
Graphic, how it was. Dude, that was freaky, man.
Yeah.
It was seriously shocking.
Yeah, that was definitely the most horrifying part of the movie. But yeah, no, ghosts. Ghosts don't always have to be. It doesn't always have to be a horror story. I think we associate it with the horror genre a lot, just because it's the unknown. But there's a lot of ghosts can be comedic too. They've made. Do you remember? Are you old enough to remember Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I used to watch that cartoon and the movie.
Me too.
Out of it, and yeah, it was like it wasn't scary because it was a kid that was
right.
So
if you don't want to hear us keep talking about movies all night, we suggest you give us a call, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be ghosts necessarily. Anything that's like paranormal activity,
supernatural.
And I know that I always do this, but I always want to define kind of the difference between those two things when you bring it up. So, and for you, I know that there is a difference. For me, I kind of put them in the same category. So, we got a question here. Let's see. Does believing ghosts harm us? Does comfort given by the imagined ghosts make it okay at all, or is it just silly to believe in such things and keep us in unjustified beliefs? That's a good question. I think it depends on how serious you are about it. I think that on the surface, there's probably not too much harm from it because I don't know how much people actually believe. Like even people who say they believe in it, like, do they really believe in it, or do they just want to believe in it? You know, I don't know. I think that if it's causing somebody like distress, if they're preoccupied with it and thinking about that all the time, afraid to go to sleep at night, can't move into a certain house or won't go to a certain hotel. You know, if it's interfering with their lives, then in those cases it's probably harmful, and I'm not sure what happened to that individual to give them that experience. But I don't think that's the average person who believes in ghosts. I think that people they believe in the possibility of it, but
Right.
they're not too sure about it. And we don't really. I don't put it in the category of like religion because we don't, or I don't put it in the category of believing in gods or anything like that because we build religions around those, and that comes with like rules and consequences and judgment, and you're supposed to behave a certain way and live a certain way, and it's a lot more rigid, and that's a lot more potentially harmful depending on what the doctrine of that religious group is, cults, that sort of thing. To me, that's more insidious and more potentially dangerous. But just having a belief in ghosts, it's almost like having a belief in aliens, or UFO visitation. There's a lot of people who believe in UFOs. There's a lot of people who think that aliens have come across the universe to visit us. But unless you believe that you're being abducted, it's probably not a problem, right?
I hope aliens are real, man. And
I'm sure aliens are real. We talked about this the last time. I'm sure there are aliens in the universe.
Yes.
I don't think they are here. You know what I mean? A lot of people do, but I don't think that they have visited the planet Earth. I don't know why they would. I wouldn't. If I was an alien, I wouldn't come here. But ghosts, they're already here. So, I'm not saying that that's more plausible. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to.
So I think here's where I disagree with you. If there is a God, then there has to be souls. And
if there is a God, there has to be souls. Okay.
That's why I associate them two together.
Okay. Why? I'm just curious.
Man, this is a hard thing to explain.
I think if there is a Christian God or an Abrahamic God, I should say, no. If there's a Christian God or a Muslim God, then there's probably souls.
What was that you cut out?
Oh, sorry. I was saying if there's a Christian God or a Muslim God, I think that there has to be souls. Not necessarily if there's a Jewish God or a deist God or anything like that. So I think it depends on what kind of God. Right?
Yeah. For me, it tracks. Why wouldn't there be souls if there is a God?
Well, I mean, it would depend on like what did the God want to create. Here, let me ask it this way: do you think would that apply to the animals as well? Would they have souls?
No, I that's something I've thought about and I've hoped for, but I don't believe it's real.
Right. But do you think that like if there was a God that only humans would have souls or that all life would have a soul?
Honestly, I don't know.
Here's what I'm willing to say. If souls are a real thing, which I don't think they are, but if they were a real thing, and if there was a life after death, then all dogs go to heaven. We can agree about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's just a given. And I think that it's more likely that dogs have souls than humans do. But that's just a
So
belief.
if you had to choose to have an afterlife, would you?
I think it would depend on what the afterlife was, because I wouldn't want to be a ghost, that's for sure. So, if the choice was between having no afterlife at all or coming back as a ghost to float around the world and not experience physicality and just haunt people, then no, I would not want to come back as that.
Right.
But if an afterlife meant being reborn again as a new person, maybe. But it would depend on who the person is, because your life could be better next time or it could be worse next time, So
That's a good point.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't believe in them. They've used to be very real to me, and I succumb to. Sorry about the dogs.
That's all right. So the question I wanted to know was, would you want to come back?
Would I want to what?
Would you want to come back after you?
Yes, I would. I want to live for eternity. I want to live till it ends.
Okay.
Dude, just think about.
We got dogs.
Think about all the. God, I keep losing my track.
Dogs will do that. Dogs go to heaven, but those might not. Man.
Yeah, it's hard to say because then you can go down further and say, well, do ants have a soul? Do cockroaches have a soul? Who gets one? So that's a good point.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
I just think people don't really think things through.
No, I don't think they do. That's the average person. I don't think does. But I think a lot of people, especially if you were raised in religion, want an afterlife. They want to come back or they want to live forever. But even I think you just said that a few minutes ago, and I don't think that would be good to live forever. I think people who want that also haven't really thought it through.
But why wouldn't you want to live in eternity?
Well, what would you do? What would you do after 1,000 years? It's almost I feel like you would run out of things to do and everything would just become boring. It's like when you play a video game. I'm not a gamer, but sometimes when I do get a new game, I really want to play it, and if it's a really good game, I'll play it over again, even an open world type game. I'm yeah, I could play this a few times. This is really fun. But after a while, you start getting bored with it, and then eventually you never go back to it, or at least for me. There's games that I used to love when I was younger, and I've never gone back to them. And I feel like that's how life would be. I feel like once you've done everything, you would just get bored and be this is there's nothing new.
I don't know. I think it would just be amazing.
Looks like we have somebody who wants to call in though. So
that's sweet.
I'm excited about this. Let me see. We'll give it a second. And hopefully it is a person who has a ghost story. So let's see. Hello and welcome to Skeptic Haven. Who do we have? We have Scott. He, him. From
hey, this is Scott. How's it going?
Good to hear from you.
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Hey, I was just looking at the show and found it pretty interesting. Just to kind of, before I go into my own little story or stories that I could tell you. First of all, like I really, and I still to this day don't really believe in ghosts or the afterlife or some of these sort of concepts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess they just sort of open up more questions than really answer anything. But having said that, I've had some really weird experiences at my parents' house, of all places, which is kind of, a lot of, my family talks about how, they're like, oh, our house is haunted. We've got all these weird sort of, things going on in the house. I didn't really believe any of it. I'm thinking it's probably their imagination and everything like this, But I must admit, if I'm going to be honest, and I was kind of, after experiencing some of these spooky little incidents in my life, over at my folks' house, visiting and staying the night and things like that, a lot of weird things do happen there that I can't really explain. Some easier to explain than others.
Can you give
But
us
there
an
was this
example?
one incident, Bryce, that really sort of stuck out or sticks out. And this happened about 2 years ago. And it's the weirdest thing. My sister, she has one of these old Android phones. And she was, one day she was cooking. I was in there talking to her. She put the phone down. I was like, well, you might want to move your phone because it was near the sink, could have fell in. And I was like, just move it over here. We put it face down. We put the phone face down on the counter. And, and then maybe a couple hours later, she hears the phone ring, turns the phone, back around, to pick it up. The phone call just disconnects. But then on the phone is a picture of my sister cooking at the stove, which was really weird because no one used the phone to take a picture, and it was like frozen on the screen. And it was a picture of her cooking, from behind, but it was really weird. It's kind of inverted in a way, like what was supposed to be usually would be on the left side of the picture was actually on the right. It was just really weird, and we couldn't even get that picture to save or store. And it was actually on the phone. I think even till today, I think she still has that weird picture on her phone, and we still can't figure out how did that phone snap a picture of her cooking at the stove when it was face down. It's just the weirdest thing, and I just don't know how to explain it.
So,
anyways, I would think that was probably not the most dramatic story out of the ones I could tell you about, but it's the one that has the least explanation power. I can't really imagine an explanation for it, so I'm just left with I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to even comment on that without like fully envisioning where everything was and where everyone was at the time. I'm sure like stuff like that seems weird. The thing with phones and especially old phones, because you said it was an old Android, I think. Is that right?
Say that one more time.
You said it was an old phone?
Yeah, it was like an old phone. It's not like a newer phone. So
one of the phones that had the buttons on it? The physical buttons?
Yeah, like, one of the things I was thinking was, are there some sort of features on the phone which will cause it to snap pictures?
Yeah.
And then, save the picture onto the, on the, display somehow. And I couldn't figure out how to get a phone like that to actually do that, Because I was really trying to get, I mean, it became an obsession. I was like, how did this happen? You know?
Yeah, the questions I would ask in a situation like that are, is this a technological glitch? Because it may be a situation where the phone is not designed to do that, which is why you couldn't figure out how to do it. But sometimes through technology glitches, short circuits or whatever, it does something that it isn't supposed to do. And because it's not supposed to do that, and you realize this type of phone isn't supposed to do that, and it happens, you may be attributing it to something supernatural or some kind of funny business, where it could have just been the phone messed up. Is that possible?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Like, I just don't know. Like, I could see how somebody could attribute that to something spooky or supernatural, like you say. And I reserve that conclusion myself personally, because like I said before, believing in ghosts, which, I'm not really, against the idea. I mean, if that's part of how reality works, that's just how it is. And I'm not against it, but I just don't have enough, I don't find enough evidence or reason to believe that such things could be true. And it just opens up a lot of questions for me. Like, why would nature spend millions of years with evolution, getting us to, be who we are as humans, just to die and become these wispy spirits that live forever? Like, why didn't we just start out that way? Like, I wouldn't understand what's the purpose of a physical, sort of life, that experience of a physical life. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Ethan brought up
explanations. There's
Ethan brought up a little while ago.
Use your imagination; you could come up with something, I'm sure.
Yeah, Ethan brought up a little while ago that he thinks that if a God exists, then souls would exist. So, maybe it's a situation where it's not nature, it's not evolution, because you're right, like, why would people evolve to have souls or an afterlife or anything like that? It would only make sense if there was some kind of supernatural God type of thing. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that's definitely, I couldn't say it's impossible. I don't see a contradiction with that, but I don't see, there's other questions that the whole God thing brings up. Like for me, the problem of evil, divine hiddenness, there's a lot of open questions to really make the whole God thing make sense to me personally. Now my limitations doesn't dictate how reality is supposed to work. So I'm always open to it. Maybe I just don't have the full story. And on the other hand too, we're in a revolution with technology, with the AI, and they're talking about the artificial general intelligence, the super intelligence, that a lot of folks are thinking that maybe computers will become very conscious and they'll be able to manipulate time and space, things of this nature, or our experience. We could be part of a simulation that was created because, I think the argument is that if we ever did really achieve the technology to make computers conscious, then it seems like that kind of flips the probability in the favor of we're probably in a simulation. Why would we be base reality, the first one? So it could be possible that it's just a glitch in the matrix, or it could be the simulators just messing with us, all of that could be possible. But of course, we have no evidence right now anyways that something like artificial superintelligence or conscious machines are even possible. There's no evidence for that now. But if there ever could be, if we could ever somehow prove that some artificial intelligence was actually conscious like human beings are, then that would sort of impact the probability, status on that.
Yeah, and I don't know how we would go about proving that. To be honest, I don't really know how we go about proving that human beings are conscious. I mean, I know that we are conscious in terms of being, aware and awake, but as far as like being able to detect consciousness beyond that, in terms of like identity and personality and all that, it's kind of just you're taking it at face value. You're interpreting what is being presented to you. If robots or AI or anything like that ever became conscious, is there a way to know? I don't know. Like, if they say they're conscious, does that mean they are? I don't know.
Right. I hear you. It's like David Chalmers, the hard problem of consciousness. We can't prove that. I couldn't prove you're conscious. You
Right.
could just be telling me you are. You could be a philosophical zombie or whatever.
I could be an AI.
The only thing I'm really sure is my own experience,
Yeah. Cool. So what would you say is I'm sorry, Ethan, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, artificial general intelligence is scary, though. It's such an advanced form of computing that I believe it could attain some type of consciousness.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah, possibly. There's a lot of growing, there's a growing trend right now in the philosophy of mind. I think philosophers like Philip Goff, David Chalmers, I think Anaka Harris, Sam Harris' wife. And I think I heard Sam Harris also, what's the guy's name from Cosmic Skeptic? Forget his name right now for some reason. Yeah. And they're leaning towards what they call panpsychism, this idea that there's some piece of consciousness in matter itself, and what we call matter, that there's this aspect to all parts of reality that we experience that has some sort of proto-consciousness, that, and this would maybe explain how you can get, a conscious experience out of something like a dead matter, inert matter, like brain, like a combination of atoms and so forth. Because, atoms are really just fields. They're just fields of probability distribution, as they say. And of course, everything that exists would also be a conscious experience. Conscious experiences are things that we can consider real, at least mine, at least that I know of. My conscious experience is real. So if these conscious fields are the fundamental building blocks of reality, consciousness could be part of the field. So actually our experience derives from the field rather than the illusion that it actually comes out of, some little homunculus in our head somewhere. It's sort of just an experiential aspect to fundamental reality. And it's all kind of disassociated. It's a reflection of this probability distribution and all of this kind of stuff. Now, not all of this is highly speculative. And of course, I'm agnostic on that. I wouldn't know whether that could be true or how could they even test for that. I have no idea. But have you ever heard of panpsychism and idealism and those sort of concepts?
I've heard of it, but I haven't really studied it. So, what about you, Ethan?
Same. I haven't really studied it.
Yeah. And I wonder what their end goal is. Like, I don't know. I know that like people like Alex from Cosmic Skeptic and Sam Harris, a lot of these guys are into philosophy, and that's kind of their job. Outside of being a philosophy professor or a philosophy student or someone who has a YouTube channel that talks about philosophy, I don't know anyone who would like have a reason to even research that. I mean, it sounds like a fun thing, but like how much time? What is the end goal? Is it to just find out if we're in a simulation, or to find out if AI can be real? I don't know. That's all like beyond me.
Yeah, I think it became popular when they started to, when Silicon Valley started to really experiment with AI and trying to create these AI systems and trying to figure out, kind of like simulate like a neural network, like in a human brain or something like this. And so they're like, well, if we really want to achieve this level of intelligence, then we have to mimic the brain. We can do that. And if it's true, if materialism is true, and that, consciousness arises from processes in the brain, like just information processing in the brain, then it makes perfect sense that if we could just mimic that processing in a computer, then it would also achieve human-like intelligence and consciousness, because the two go together. The processing, consciousness is what the brain does. So if a computer is doing what the brain does essentially with a neural network, then obviously it's going to lead to the same sort of emergent property of consciousness. That's the idea.
Scott,
and a lot of these philosophers and people of that nature are studying that. I think one of the leading neuroscientists in the field is Christoph Koch, and he's a German. He worked with Giulio Tononi, and they have this, leading theory called I think it's called integrated information theory. And it's basically taking consciousness as a fundamental, because we know it exists. That's what they say.
Hey, like, Scott, can you hear me?
Because I'm conscious.
Scott, can you hear Ethan?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
He's got a question for you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, so yes. Go ahead. I think I probably didn't hear you. You're talking.
Okay, cool. Looks like it's fixed now.
Yeah. What you got, Ethan?
I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you had I stopped him because I thought you had a question. I guess, but the question I would have for Scott before we let him go is, what is your position now after you've had these type of experiences in the past that you've alluded to, that you say that you don't really have an explanation for and they freaked you out? What would you say your belief is now? I assume we have that you're agnostic. Are you agnostic about ghosts? Are you open to the possibility? Do you believe that they are there? What's your position now?
Yeah, so I'm sort of, ultimately I'm agnostic. I mean, I don't know any of these things. But as for the ghosts and things of that nature, I don't believe in that. I kind of lean against ghosts. I lean against that sort of conceptual thing, souls and things like that. I'm all for it, but I'm just not convinced yet on that. So I'm just kind of at a holding pattern of looking at everything. Now, as far as the the idealism, the panpsychism, I kind of favor that sort of philosophy in an analytical sort of way, only because out of parsimony, if we were to philosophically break it down, be a more parsimonious view, rather than build on some sort of abstraction to build out a worldview. Like, say, materialism, for example. Materialism reduces matter and energy to equations, which are abstractions. That's really what they are. And then to say that these abstractions are the fundamental properties of nature, I think is could be true, but it's a bit unparsimonious. And then especially when you see that, like, the Planck scale, like the 10 to the minus 35 centimeters, minus 35 centimeters, the Planck scale, matter is no longer measurable, in principle. It turns into a black hole. If you shine enough energy and light on it with gravity, it'll sink into a black hole. And so in principle, matter doesn't really exist as we understand matter at that level. And so now we have other, physicists have all these ideas like information theory. But then I'm kind of questioning information theory, because information, what is information? For me, information is more like a description, not a prescription. You can't get, I don't see how you can get physical things just out of information. Like, there has to be some sort of, kind of like what Stephen Hawking says, what is the fire that breathes life into the equations that describe the world. We don't.
Well, I agree with you.
To say.
Yeah, I agree with you that information is descriptive, and I think a lot of people use it as though it is a thing. It's something of substance that we get. But I think information is just us discovering the natural world. That's kind of how I use that term.
And you sound very passionate about this, Scott.
Yeah. Exactly. And the fundamental thing, as far as my experience, the only thing I really know is conscious. Even information would be within a conscious experience. Even the material world exists as an appearance within a conscious experience. I can't get out of consciousness.
Sounds like you're breaking up on my end.
Yeah, it's like that on is kind of inaccessible.
Oh, there we go. We can hear you again.
Yeah, you broke up for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I was saying that consciousness is something I can't get out of to make an observation. So like information in matter, the material world or the physical world exists as an appearance within our conscious experiences of it. We can't like get out of our consciousness to actually measure anything. We're all sort of anchored into our conscious experience. It's like the only real thing that we know. And so on an analytical philosophy, like say idealism, you would say that the only real fundamental thing there is the conscious experience of these things. And from that, we can build, our theories, hypotheses, and models into experience what works, like our predictions. We make predictions about the world, but still all of that stuff exists within a conscious experience. And I think that's kind of what the panpsychists and these sort of researchers are arguing for, is they're saying that I think that the conscious experience has been separate from science. They want to put that out of the equation. So it's become sort of a blind spot for science to really investigate reality, especially at that sort of ontological level. And so that's where these ideas, I think, come from, and this research is coming from. It's just an exercise in, and it, for me, you're talking about at this point, we're talking metaphysics. No one's really got the answer. It's still an open question, but it's an exciting question. It's the mystery of life. And, I enjoy discussing those sort of things,
Well, hang on, Scott. Speaking of open questions, I just want to throw out there to anyone in the audience watching, if you guys have questions and you want us to talk about it, send us a super chat and we'll read your question on screen. There's a couple of people watching right now. I'm sure some of you may have some ghost stories and might be too shy to call in. So if you want to mention anything that we're talking about, send us a super chat and let us know.
Yeah, even in aliens and Bigfoot, anything like that.
And Scott, I'm curious because earlier, before you called in, Ethan and I were talking about whether we would want to come back after dying, either as whatever form of afterlife. So how do you feel about that? What would be your answer to that question?
Having just a little bit of a hard time hearing you guys. Let me turn this up. And if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, the question was, would you want to come back in some sort of afterlife? Like, I know you don't believe in one right now, but would you want there to be an afterlife, or would you want to come back?
That's a good question. I guess it depends, at face value, it always sounds like what everybody wants, reflective. Our reflex is to always survive and live. So on that level, yeah, you want to keep living as long as you can. But if you ask me philosophically about it, that may not be the most desirable outcome. Like, I don't know if I'd want to live forever and do what? Like, do we get bored in the afterlife? Do you have any value or meaning at that point if you're living forever? it seems like all meaning and purpose for me can only exist because I know that my time is limited. Like if I knew I was going to die tomorrow, then it seems like today I would want to really live it up. I'd want to cherish every second of my life just because I know tomorrow I'm not going to be here,
Right.
And philosophically, as far as like my worldview, I don't believe in the self anyway. So it's sort of it's kind of like the premise of the question may not make a lot of sense in that way.
Were you saying, Ethan?
Go ahead and read the question on screen.
Theoretically says, give me 10 continues and then game over. So you would want 10 lives. I mean, that's fair. I probably would have gone with 9 because that's what cats have. So, but go ahead, Ethan.
I don't know where to go with that. That was a lot of information.
Yeah, no.
Here's something good to think about, something I thought about. See what you guys may do with this. If you think about the nature of subjective experience, right? Like the job of experience is just to experience. You know how we say the idea of nothing is sort of incomprehensible, right? Like you cannot experience not experiencing. That's just doesn't make sense, So when you think about death, you're going to come to a point where you're not going to experience. Well, the you that we're talking about would be the ego, like this narrative of self, this sort of selfhood story, which is a conglomeration of your memories, personality, character. These things are constructions, right? But if you think about phenomenal consciousness, just the raw datum, just raw experience, well, it seems like by nature, experience just experiences. So whether that experience happens through you or through another being somewhere in the universe, it seems like it's always going to be there. Now, you may no longer exist as Bryce or as Scott or whatever, but experience itself, just as a concept, seems like it can all it's going to be able to do is experience through some other medium, through some other being. And if it can happen once in the universe, then it can probably go on and happen forever in some universe or in some rendition of the universe. Maybe it's a cycle. Who knows?
It sounds like you're talking about reincarnation in a sort.
Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like reincarnation, maybe a little different than what I'm getting at is sort of like reincarnation in a different kind of way. Sins death and inhabits another body, but just pure phenomenal experience. That part never dies.
You're cutting out a little bit.
I really want to find, yeah.
Your audio is cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Am I better now?
Yeah, just make sure you're close to the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, when I meditate, like, the way I kind of look at it is, let's take a picture. Like, you've got the blue sky and you've got clouds in the sky. And let's call the clouds your thoughts, your ruminations, your everyday experiences, observations, and things of this nature, right? But in the background is this thing, the observer. It's the observing of your feelings of every moment. Whether you're a 2-year-old version of Bryce or a 40-year-old version of Bryce, that experience has been consistent throughout your life, That blue sky has always been there. Now, it may have been covered up by the clouds as you change and go through experiences in life. But when you meditate, you can sort of clear those clouds out and get in touch with that essence, that sort of blue sky aspect or that observer aspect of you. And I would call that like the unlimited being of you, that part that's never changing. It's just always just a neutral observer, and that aspect of reality could be the thing that just lasts forever. in some form and expressed through different forms, different beings, things of that nature. Doesn't require any supernaturalism, doesn't require you to be a ghost or anything like that. It's just what the philosophers call phenomenal consciousness. It's just that observer aspect of reality. And the panpsychists, those guys are like, well, yeah, that particular aspect of reality isn't inhabiting everything, kind of like animism. It's like that phenomenal consciousness exists in the universe as a fundamental. And from that, we build out different sort of conscious beings, different levels, because it's sort of like a range, or, you're on a spectrum. A bat's consciousness is different than a cat's consciousness or a human's consciousness, because those systems operate in different ways. But the one thing that is the same, the one commonality among all these different conscious agents, is that blue sky, that unchanging phenomenal observer, And maybe that's the thing that when we talk about the soul, or maybe that's the thing that really lives forever. Could be.
You mentioned animals a few minutes ago and said that it's different from one to the other. Do you think an animal's consciousness continues forever as like the same kind of animal, or can it grow to be something like human? And in its next, as it dies and continues.
Yeah, so I think that, like with the animal consciousness, whatever kind of animal, including the human animal, whatever it is, that's an expression. It's sort of like nature's expression. It's kind of like the way the universe it goes back to that Carl Sagan, we are the universe experiencing itself, in different ways. It's expressed in different ways. There's different perspectives. There's a perspective of looking at the natural world through the eyes of a mouse, or the eyes of a snake, or a human, or what have you. They're just different renditions, different perspectives, if you will.
Okay, and the last question I have for you, unless Ethan has a question.
No, go ahead.
Where I think Ethan and I concluded before was we started talking about media and pop culture, and the fact that we're both skeptics now who don't believe in ghosts, but we still enjoy a good ghost story. How do you feel about that as somebody who, because it sounds like you're a skeptic, it sounds like you may have believed in this, the ghost thing, but maybe not so much anymore. Can you still enjoy, like, do ghost stories still scare you or entertain you, or is it just like complete BS for you? How do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, I enjoy the ghost stories. I enjoy the UFO stuff a little more though. I binge watch these UFO stories and experiences, and like with the Air Force pilots and the airliner pilots and the officials, listen to their stories. Now, I'm not sold on it. I don't know what they mean. I don't know if it means alien, the little green men from outer space. I don't know if that's what it means, or it could mean, human technology. Maybe as far back as 60, 70 years ago, we were able to simulate UFOs and create these sort of things. I don't know how that'd be possible, but it could be, or it could actually be time travelers or glitches in the matrix. There's so many different, or it could be like some cryptic, undiscovered species here that lives under our oceans, for example. There's so many different attributions you could make to really settle on one conclusion over another. I don't see how we could, like, I think the aliens from another galaxy or something, I think that hypothesis has a lot of problems as far as what we know about relativity and the speed of light and how long it would be to traverse the universe. Then again, who's to say that an alien being would even experience time in the same way we do? maybe for them, a million years is a blink of an eye. Who knows? I have no idea. So it just opens up more questions than answers for me. But I do find it very interesting, and I binge watch those things all the time. I think because I was always a science fiction fan.
Me too.
I've always been, I love science fiction. So obviously I'm going to be inclined to love UFOs.
Yeah, same here.
I'm trying to find some paranormal hunters that I can follow around for a few days and record stuff with them.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I think that would be cool. And then, play their perspective, and then we put up our perspective.
Yeah.
Would you be sure?
For sure. Can you imagine what it would be like to really talk to or communicate with some sort of being that's far advanced than us, that lives in a totally different galaxy and stuff? That would be awesome, man, if that was really true.
It would tell us a lot about ourselves. I think that would be the most exciting thing about it. It would change the way that humanity fundamentally views itself, realizing that there's other life in the universe. It would change all of our ideas about self and God and religion, and it would. I don't know how a lot of the religions would deal with this, because they retool that. I feel like if we discovered that aliens were real, I don't know how you make that consistent with religion.
Yeah,
Okay, I actually
that was kind of at least in my experience of religion, it doesn't work,
Yeah. What were you going to say, Ethan? About religion and aliens?
Oh, yeah. So is it true that if the church, it's a bad idea to have the churches pay taxes, because then they'll be able to vote?
I don't know if that directly follows. I do agree that it's a bad idea for churches to not be paying taxes. I do agree that they should be paying taxes. I don't see how. No, because I don't think that logically follows. I think individuals vote.
Okay.
Like, everybody gets one vote, right? Corporations don't vote. Schools don't vote. Medical institutions don't vote. It's just the individuals that make it up end up being the voters. So no, churches should, in my opinion, pay taxes just like everyone else, and that doesn't have any effect on voting. But I don't know.
Well, thank you.
A little bit of a tangent from what we're talking about, but I definitely think that Foot Clan says voting is for U.S. citizens, not institutions. Yeah, okay, so basically, that's what I thought. I'm not sure who would have come up with that, or that sounds like somebody who maybe hasn't given a lot of thought to how voting rights works. But churches should pay taxes. That's the part of the question that rang true to me. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Not to get into politics, but
yeah, a lot of people, I always hear sometimes, like when they see churches getting involved in the state and doing stuff, making decisions, like say with abortion or other issues, a lot of people will say, well, they need to pay taxes then if they're going to have their voice and all of that. And I'm not really sure it's the idea, because then you're giving them power to do that now. Now you're sort of inviting the church to inform policy and things of that nature through their votes and stuff. And I'm all for separation myself. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I am as well. I think that they already interfere with politics, and they make their voices heard and affect our laws, and so it's already gone the wrong direction as far as that stuff goes. But I'm trying to think of a clever way to transition religion into the ghost conversation, and I think I just thought of one. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I know both of you are agnostic or atheist, but Ethan, you used to be religious at one point, and I used to as well, and I believe Scott, you used to as well. Is that true, Scott?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've got a cold. I missed what you were saying there.
Did you you came from a religious background, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
Okay. What did you think? Was it what do you mind saying what the religion was? I mean, I think I know.
Oh yeah, it was Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right. And Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in the Trinity, right?
Yeah, they don't believe in souls and spirits like that. Nope.
Right. And so I guess the question really more applies to Ethan. What do you think about the Holy Spirit? Or what did you think about it? Would that qualify as a ghost? Because it's a spirit, right?
Would what qualify as a ghost?
The Holy Spirit? I mean, the way they talk about it, it seems like it's a ghost, right?
Maybe.
The Holy Spirit entered, Mary, I guess, and impregnated her. The Holy Spirit enters us. It's, I don't know if that's like a possession or whatever, but seems to be, the way that it's like that seems to be a ghost. Like, in fact, I think some religions call it the Holy Ghost. So
with Jehovah's Witnesses, they thought ghosts, if people did experience something like a ghost, a haunted house or something, or even an alien UFO, something like that, they considered those spirit beings, kind of like angels or demons.
Oh, really? So okay, so they don't. It's not ghosts per se, but it's a supernatural entity, according to
right, natural being. Yes.
Supernatural being, yeah. Yeah. It sounds like we're all skeptics about that now. So yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and drop off and continue to watch the show. I think my phone's running out of battery too, so.
Well, we appreciate you calling in, Scott. Good to hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to watch. Yeah, hopefully someone else will, maybe a believer will call in.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be nice.
I'd like to pick their brain. So, but we appreciate you calling in, Scott.
Have a good one, Scott.
Yeah, man. You guys have a great night, by the way.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. And
all right.
Before we go any further, I'm not sure how much further we'll go, but before we go any further, just so I don't forget, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that supports the channel, all the patrons. So we've got Paul Cammish, Karen Butcher, HellsBells, Logan Fisher, Amanda McLeod, Ryan D. Murphy, Dan D., Michael Wiseman, Sunny Shell, and Phil Calderone. We appreciate all the support, everything you guys do to keep this channel running. And good looking out. So if anyone wants to call in before we wrap it up, 984-400-5656. I would love to get an actual believer before we go. And I guess the question I would have for you, Ethan, is since we haven't had a lot of people call in, or anybody who's actually a believer, what do you think the prevalence is of ghost belief today, at least in the West?
I'd say 80% of people.
Really? You think it's that high?
Yeah. Everyone I know, on like my Facebook, for instance, everyone I know believes in something or other in the supernatural area.
Is it like ghosts though, or is it just like an afterlife?
Yeah, ghosts and an afterlife.
Wow. That's interesting. Because I would have thought it would be lower than that. I think that I wonder how much that varies with culture as well. Because I think that that's so much part of our culture, not only through religion, but even through like just pop culture, right? Pop culture references. We talked about movies, books. we've been telling ghost stories forever. They're entertaining, you know.
Mm.
So, but I wonder, like, if you ask the same question in China or Japan, if the percentage would be that high. I mean, I don't know that it is that high. I'm kind of taking it at face value. You know, I didn't look this up, but
They're an extremely religious country, right?
which one?
Uh,
We are an extremely religious country. China and Japan, I would say, are not as religious.
oh, okay.
You know, China is mostly, the predominant religion in China is Buddhism, and that's even if you want to call that a religion. I tend not to call that a religion because it doesn't necessarily invoke the supernatural. And Japan is a very atheistic, you know, nation. They still have to have some old traditions that, you know, there were Japanese gods, and but I think it's mostly just tradition at this point. I don't know how much the modern Japanese person, you know, worships.
Yeah, and weed is illegal there.
Bree says that Chinese and Japanese cultures both have a lot of ghost stories. So that's interesting. So maybe it is. I'm not an anime fan. Are you?
Yeah, well, Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. So if you're a fan of anime, you could probably say, like, how much of it deals with, or how much of it that you've seen deals with, like, ghosts or paranormal stuff. I know they have a lot of. No, just like how much anime does most anime feature, like, supernatural type elements?
Oh, yes.
Okay, maybe they do then. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I suspect that I'm sure there's like a society out there that is like less, where that type of belief is less prevalent. I can't name it though. I think human beings are generally inclined to believe in the supernatural just because they can't explain stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, doesn't
I
look
wish
like,
we got more calls.
yeah, it doesn't look like we have anyone calling in. So, hopefully, you know, you say that 70 to 80% of people believe in ghosts. I don't know, but the evidence doesn't seem to have presented itself tonight, though. But hopefully, when we do this again, we can get to, because I want to hear like an actual haunting story. Nothing too crazy, you know, but something that's a little bit different from that.
I will, if we do a show again together, I will get you a good haunting story.
You will get it from, and I mean, bring someone along. You know, if you know someone who has one, have them call.
No, I don't know anyone personally, but I would post in like the paranormal groups, the supernatural groups, the religious groups.
Gotcha.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure we can find someone who would talk about that.
For sure. Yeah, that would be cool. So, you know, I think that's pretty much all that we can cover at this point. But before we did wrap this up and get out of here, there was someone else that I do want to send a special shout out to, and it's Sadie, who's actually been in the chat. Sadie, unfortunately, has been suffering with a form of cancer, and we definitely wish her well. If you guys want to donate to her GoFundMe, check out the link in the description. It's there. Sadie, keep hanging on. We appreciate you joining us. Yeah, and wish you the best for the future. But again, GoFundMe for Sadie is in the link in the description. So I think that's about all that we have. Do you have anything else to add to this ghost hunting business?
No, I am ready to find a good paranormal investigator.
Do you have any leads? Do you have a head start? Have you already like started on this?
I have, but they don't get back to me once they find out I'm a skeptic.
That's not fair. Like, you should have a skeptic. Like, you should have at least one. It's like that Ghost Hunters show. There's like one who's a skeptic and the other who's a believer, and that makes it more, I don't know, makes it more entertaining.
And more balanced and some more bickering.
Yeah, that's too bad. You may have to fake it till you make it. You may have to present yourself as a believer just so that you can get your foot in the door, right? So, I don't know. But In any case, that's pretty much all the show that we have. We don't have any more callers, so we're probably going to wrap that up. We appreciate you guys who stayed to listen to Scott's adventure or his previous experience with a cell phone. I think it was a technical glitch, but I don't know. Maybe next time we do this, Scott will call back and give us one of his other more convincing things. But we appreciate you guys sticking around nonetheless, and we'll see you guys next week.
Good night, everyone.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.